What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Vulnerable Moments, the podcast. I'm your host, Jovan J. Palmer, and as always, we got special guests, including myself, sharing our most transparent and vulnerable moments. Today, we got another single episode from myself. We haven't started back with the guests just yet. Working on getting a few more things, some technical things that we need to get through before we start having guests on, but don't want to leave you all without a podcast episode, so I am here. Today, we're talking about living in your discomfort. Living in your discomfort. I've been realizing that there's nothing wrong with living in discomfort. That's the only way that we as individuals are going to grow. And sometimes discomfort, it can get ugly, it can get heavy, it can get to a point where you don't know what's going on, where you don't understand what's going on, you don't understand why things are going on or why things are happening in the way that they are happening. But at the end of the day, you just gotta have trust that what you are going through is what's growing you. What you are going through is what's growing you. And in order for you to be comfortable, you gotta be uncomfortable for a little bit. And sometimes life is not gonna be pretty. And I say that to myself right now as I'm in probably one of the most uncomfortable spaces in my life right now, where I'm having to grow into a man that I've never been before. And when you gotta grow into somebody that you've never been before, that you've never seen before, that you never understood before, you have to really grow into that person very slowly. And slowly is the best way that you're gonna understand the person that you want to be, or the person that you're becoming. So it's gonna be a little bit uncomfortable. I'm learning that I got to grow into a man in various areas of my life, that I've never had to grow into before. I got to grow financially, I got to grow mentally, spiritually. When you're caring for other people, you got to grow in that area of your life to care for certain people. And it's a challenge. It's a big challenge when you're uncomfortable, but it's not too much of a challenge once you recognize that the uncomfortable space is for your greater good. So I got a few topics on living in discomfort that we're going to expound on today. Let me get those pulled up real quick. All right, so number one is you got to challenge yourself. Try new things. You really got to challenge yourself to try new things. And if you don't challenge yourself to try new things, pretty much your life is going to be a 360 all over again. You're just going to be pretty much going in a circle over and over and over again until you try something new. They say that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I disagree with that. As we grow older and as you're willing to change, you can teach yourself new tricks, but you got to be willing to try something new. And trying something new means that you may got to try different food. You may have to try a different place where you may study, or you may hang out at, or who you may hang out with. Maybe you need to meet new friends. Maybe you got to do something new that's going to challenge you into understanding who you are, and where you're going. And, sometimes I understand that trying something new is very hard. It's not the easiest thing that you can do. It's not going to be the most comfortable thing that you can do. But when you try something new, you say, what I did or what I had to go through wasn't that bad. In this space of uncomfortability that you're going through and growing through your discomfort, it's not that bad when you actually look back at it, when you get through it, when you grow through what you're going through. It's not that bad. It's really a simple, minute challenge that you got to go through. And once you get through it, it's like, oh, I can do that again. I think back to my 10 days of silence, where I was like, yo, that's going to be the toughest thing in my life, where I got to sit in silence for 10 days. I can't make any eye contact with anybody. I can't speak to nobody. I got to sit with myself. And that was something new for me. Having to sit in silence for 10 days was a challenge, but now I'm at to the point where I'm ready to do another one. I can't wait until my next one, where time presents itself, where I can do another 10-day silent retreat and sit there in silence and just learn so much more about myself and how I, reflected. As a matter of fact, I think around this time last year, May 25th, was when I was on my silent retreat. Now I'm thinking about it. And in retrospect, yeah, it was hard. Around day 4, if you watch that episode, I'll pin it up here somewhere. Day 4, I was ready to go. But I remember when one of the teachers told me that if you leave, what would have been the good of you coming here if you leave now? Would you have got what you got wanting to get out of here? And I didn't know what exactly I was wanting to get out of the 10-day silent retreat. I just know that I just need a little bit more peace in my life. I need a little bit more understanding of who I am, where I'm going, and just some clarification on some things and how to learn how to forgive. And so that's what I needed in that silent retreat. But I got some of that and some. And what I'm saying is when you got to try some things new, you got to try some things that you said, you know what, I would never do. And now I understand why parents always say never, because sometimes you're in some situations where you know what, that never comes, and you're like, you know what, now I got to do this. As long as it's not compromising your morals, as long as it's not compromising your beliefs, as long as it's not doing anything illegal, of course, then that never may become a, you know what, I got to try this time. So challenge yourself to something new and try something new and see where you get, what happens, what comes up, once it comes about of you trying something new. The next one is start small. So when you start small in this areas of discomfort of trying to get out of it, or working, not say trying, but working towards getting out of it, you know, start small. Don't try anything grand. You know, I've realized for me, I mean, I've been trying to get out of my space of discomfort and the space that I'm in right now. I've been trying to do it very on a grand, large scale. And it's like, you know what, Jovan, let's scale back a little bit. You know, let's take some smaller steps into what it is that you want to do. So, of course, I have some certifications working on getting on. You know, I got to pass this social work exam. I have to, you know, study, you know, work on this other project I'm working on that I can't talk about right now. But in doing so, it's the small things that count, the small steps that matter. You know, as long as you take one step forward, you can take another step forward and take another step forward. But when you're trying to do something big, sometimes it's like it's the small things that come together that make up what you're trying to do or what you're working towards doing. I want to stop using the word trying, because trying means as if, you know, you're not really giving your all. But, you know, when you start small, don't do too much at once. You know, they say the best way to tackle elephant, something like that, is like eat it chunk by chunk or bit by bit. That's what you need to do. Eat it, you know, take your goals and eat those things bit by bit. Take your healing journey and do it bit by bit. Don't try to jump straight into, oh, I got to forgive everybody. No, you don't. Not all at once. Yes, you need to start forgiving people, and yes, you need to start forgiving yourself. But maybe a small step is say, you know what, I'm going to start with forgiving myself. And what that looks like for me is maybe every day that I get up and I say I don't do something for myself, you know, I just got to forgive myself for not doing it for me. Or maybe, like, you know, in forgiving yourself, it may be saying, asking yourself, well, what if I, you know, do something different this time? What if, you know, forgiveness of self, it just looks so different for everybody. You know, it's kind of hard to pinpoint how do you forgive yourself. Well, the question is, why don't you want to forgive yourself? It's not really how so, it's like why so. Because if you can open your mouth every day and you can choose the words that come out of your mouth, why can't you choose to forgive yourself? And that's a small step in the right direction. And then when you get that one small step out the way, it's okay, now the bigger steps can come as far as, like, you know, whatever it may be that you're trying to tackle or whatever you're trying to do, is like those small steps equal to the bigger steps. Like, you know, you know, as I'm in this fitness challenge, my job, this step challenge, and I started off doing probably 1,000 steps, you know, and then we got, you know, anybody knows me, I love a good walk. But it's just, I don't want to jump straight into it and just act like I can just do it when I haven't really been like as active as I used to be. So it's like, okay, now that I am going through this journey in these steps, it's more so along the lines of doing small steps at a time. So let's just get up and go to the park down the street and come back. Let's get up and go to the road down the street and come back. And just as I'm, you know, every day goes, I increase. Like, you know, the other day I walked to my sister's house. It's a 2-hour walk. You know, and there's some times where you got to challenge yourself in those most uncomfortable places. And was it a comfortable walk? It actually was. It wasn't that bad. You know, I talked to a lady the entire time on the trip, on the walk, and, you know, got to my sister's house, stopped and got a smoothie, then got to her house, and it was cool. I wasn't super tired. My body was cool. The weather was beautiful outside. So when you're doing these things, it's like you got to challenge yourself to come out of the things that you don't know that you say you can't do. I looked at the walk one day and I said, oh, that's 2 hours. And that's a crazy walk. And I said, yo, just do it one day. And Saturday came. I didn't have much going on, so I took the walk. And for some people, it's like, okay, that can be an uncomfortable thought, having to, you know, really walk for 2 hours. You know, there's people who probably walk longer than that. But it's really just up to you. Like, are you going to walk, or are you just going to sit there and just wish and hope? So the next one is, you know, practice mindfulness. One of my biggest things is that I've learned over the years is mindfulness, being aware of my body, being aware of who I am, being aware of what's going on around me, in me, and to me and through me. In this season of discomfort, you're going to have to practice mindfulness, knowing when to say no, knowing when to say yes, knowing when to say not yet, knowing when to say maybe and maybe not. you know, Sometimes you got to rest on some things. I'm not a decisive person where I can make decisions in an instant. I'm learning to trust myself a little bit more, but it's just taking time. So now that I know that I can't trust myself to make the quick decisions, pray on it 24 hours. And then if I feel like my answer's still not there, it's just gonna have to wait. Don't feel pressured into coming out of your season of discomfort by making decisions that's going to last you for a lifetime. Because there's some decisions that you're going to make in this season of your life that's going to last you a lifetime. And if you don't make them correctly, if you don't make them wisely, if you don't listen to your inner spirit, if you don't listen to the God who speaks to you and gives you wisdom, then what's going to happen is you're going to have to live with those decisions and be stuck in this place of discomfort for the rest of your life. And you don't want that. You want to be able to make sure you make a decision that's really going to get you through this phase of your season, your journey of your life right now. That's going to say, you know what? You can get through this part by making this one decision. And when you make this one decision through mindfulness, it's going to help you get to where you want to get to. But that goes through, sitting with yourself, being uncomfortable and not making a decision so quick. Sometimes we feel like, well, we got to be so decisive and we got to make quick decisions so quick that's just been our normal routine, and our habits is of making so many untimely decisions. So if it takes a day for you to respond to somebody, if it takes 2 days to respond to somebody, communicate that and then sit in it, whatever it is that you need to sit in, or whatever decision that you need to make for yourself, and do that. Don't be afraid of telling people no. Don't be afraid of people telling people not yet. Don't be afraid of telling yourself that. Sometimes you got to sit with yourself and ask yourself, okay, why am I so uncomfortable right now? Is it because I've said yes to everything and everybody? Sometimes the things that you say you can't compromise on, you got to compromise on those things. And if you don't compromise on those things, when will you ever get to the space that you want to get to in life? I've realized that some things are non-negotiables for me nowadays. I have no space and no room for compromise in this season of my life. And the reason why I have no room for compromise is because time is on my side, and I'm not saying I don't have room for making mistakes, but it's just right now I want things to be so smooth in this transition that I'm not bending on anything that goes against anything that I believe in, that I move in. I don't want to do things that I don't feel comfortable doing. I don't want to, move in a way that doesn't make me feel good. So you got to understand that being mindful of yourself and being mindful of your decisions is what's really going to get you to this next phase of your life. What's really going to get you out of this uncomfortable season and this uncomfortable rut that you're in. The next one I'm going to say is lean on others. In this transition of life, don't try to do it all by yourself. I understand, like for myself, and there might be a lot of independent individuals out there who grew up just hyper independent, where you just feel like you have to do everything on your own. You have to make every decision for yourself. You got to understand everything. You got to have, an answer to everything. You don't. Life doesn't work that way. When you lean on others, that means that you're leaning not on your own understanding. The Bible. All right, quick break before we get back into the episode. So healing, it's not sexy. It's not the best thing ever, trust me. It takes you through ebbs and flows, ups and downs, valleys and peaks, and all that types of stuff. How do I know? Because I've been there. And I'm still going through my healing journey because there's so much more to uncover about yourself, about the traumatic experience that you've been through. So I started a coaching program where people like myself and yourself can come together to start your healing journey. Maybe you started it, maybe you stopped it, maybe you kind of like in this in-between space, or maybe you say, you know what? I'm in a space where I'm ready to really get to the work and start doing the root work and the core work of who I am, and to uncover all this mess and that's all inside of me. So if you're one of those people who are looking for a space that you can heal in community and love and transparency and vulnerability, join my coaching program, www.andnowweheal.com. That's www.andnowweheal.com. andnowweheal.com, where we'll meet on a weekly basis. We'll read book club. We'll have a book club. We'll read articles. We'll watch videos together. And of course, you'll hear from myself and some of my special guests and friends who I've, met along this journey, who have been doing amazing work in this space, who can help you to just start your healing journey or accelerate your healing journey, or just really just get on a space where you know what, you feel good about who you are and who you're growing into. So I hope to get to see you at andnowweheal.com. Join us. I love you. Let's heal together. Back to the episode. It tells us to lean out into our own understanding. So that means that God has given us people of wisdom. God has given us discernment to choose the right people to talk to in this season. God has given us discernment to choose the people who not to talk to in this season, because you got to realize not everyone's out for your best interest. I had to learn that the hard way, learning that everyone's not out for my best interest. And even though I thought they were, and maybe their intentions were good, they just weren't pure, And I want people whose intentions are pure for me. I want my own personal intentions to be pure for myself, and my decision making and getting out of this space that I'm in this rut of life. I don't want to call this space of life of rut, because I feel like when you're in a rut, like you're in this space that you just really feel stuck. And I don't feel stuck. I just feel like I'm not moving. No, I'm not even gonna say that. I'm gonna speak a little bit more life into myself. I'm in this season because I need to be in this season. There's nothing bad about this season that I'm in. And I think we're gonna hold on to leaning on to others real quick. And I want to speak some life into you, because I want you to speak some life into yourself. Whenever you're in this season, don't think of it as a bad thing. Think of it as a good thing. Because you got to look back at your life and understand that the season that you were in, maybe you put yourself in that season. Maybe you didn't recognize the patterns that you were going through back in the day. Maybe you didn't recognize, how much you were on go, that you didn't even make time for yourself. You didn't make time for your kids. You didn't make time for your significant other. You didn't make time for your family. I say all that because that was once upon a time with me where all I had time for was just work, work, and work. And I'm like, that's a pattern I don't want to go back into. So this season that I'm in right now, where I have so much time, where I get to choose who I want to spend my time with, I get to choose where I want to be. I get to choose how much time I want to spend on certain things. Like there's no pulls against me in this season. And even though this season that I'm in is uncomfortable, I'm thankful. I look back on my life, I'm like, this is what you prayed for. You asked to be able to move in the way that you want to move. And though I can't move all the way in the way I want to move, I have a space in my life where it's like, you got what you prayed for. You got everything you asked God for when you were in a season that was very uncomfortable for you, and you were in a season where you just couldn't move the way you want to, and you were a season that you were tired all the time, and now you're in this new season of life, and this is what you asked for. This is what you prayed for, and you got it, and now you're looking at it like it's a bad thing because it's not exactly what you expected it to be. So I'm cool at where I'm at right now for the time being. Let's put an emphasis for the time being. I'm cool that I'm not where I'm supposed to be just yet, And that's how you gotta shift your mindset. When you just shift your mindset, well, I want to be here. Oh, this is not cool. Like, nah, like be grateful and be thankful for where you are in this season right now. I'm grateful for this season. I'm grateful that I got time to just do things in the way that I want to. I'm grateful I can wake up when I want to wake up and get things done in the manner that I want to, and go to sleep when I want to go to sleep, and not feel like I gotta be up all night, pulling all nighters. Sometimes I may have to, but that may come with the nature, but that comes with like, okay, cool. If I pull an all nighter tonight, I can like strategically say, okay, cool. Thursday can be for all nighter because for the summer we're off every Friday, so you can sleep in on Fridays instead and not have to worry about being tired after your work day. So I get to pick and choose. Like I get to actually say, okay, Jovan, this is how you get to handle your life. This is how you get to do things for your life. And it's a gift and a curse if you don't know how to handle it well. And I'm be honest, like I haven't been handling this new season of life as well as I should be, but I'm coming to, and I'm giving myself grace that, you know what, Jovan, you're learning a whole new person. You're 36 years old and you're unlearning 36 years of life. So when 37 comes, or the rest of 36 goes, and 37 hits, it's like, like you've done a lot of unlearning in such a short period of time. You've grown. So it's like, I'm cool where I'm at. And I'm learning to lean on others. So we're going to go back into that, is leaning on others. I'm learning to ask more questions. I'm learning to call more people and ask people who are wise and who've gone through things that I'm experiencing right now. I'm asking them how did they get through it, just to hear how they got through it, and then I'm tailoring how they got through to make it make sense for me, so that I understand of how to do this thing, and I know understand how to get out of this space that I'm in, and understand how to not to go get back into this space as well. Because what we got to understand is that sometimes you won't leave a season until you learn how not to get back into that season again. And that's what makes a lot of like these seasons uncomfortable for us, is that until you learn what you need to learn in this from that past season that's trickled into this new season of life, you're not gonna get exactly where you want to get to. Life is gonna keep looking like a revolving door until you learn that you gotta lean on other people. You can't do life alone. I understand that there's lots of us out there that, oh, I ain't got that many friends, or I don't need no friends, or I don't need nobody. That's a lie. If you didn't need nobody, when God created this earth, God would have said, okay, let me just make you and you only. But that's not the case. God created myself. God created, you the listener, you the viewer. God created, your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your friend, your best friend. God created the immensity of this world. And for you to sit here and say, I don't need nobody, is very reckless and detrimental to your future. And it's very reckless and detrimental to your current lifestyle right now, to say that you don't need anybody. I understand that there's this thing called embarrassment and shame, and you don't want to talk about some certain situation that you're in. And I understand that. But you got to find your tribe of people that understand the situations that you're in. And that's what I've had to do. I've had to find my tribe of people who understand certain situations that I'm in, who can help me get through this, who's not going to judge me, who's not going to, tell my business to other folk who I don't need in my business, though I live an open life. It's like sometimes there's some things that you want to keep to yourself or keep to your tribe. And that's where that discernment kicks in. Okay, who are the people that I can talk to? Who are the people I can run to? And I understand, there's some people who've gone through life and everybody they've encountered has done them wrong. I've heard that before, and I've fortunately have not been able to experience a life where it says everybody in my life has done me wrong. But there's some people who say, there's some people in life who has done me wrong everywhere I've gone. I've gone to church, they've done me wrong. I've gone to work, they've done me wrong. I've gone to, the gym, they've done me wrong. I've gone to my family, they've done me wrong. I've gone to, my brother and my sister, my best friend, who have 10, 20, 30 years, they've done me wrong. I get it, yes. Life does happen in that way. But maybe they're doing you wrong because God is trying to show you these are the type of people I don't need you around. These are the type of people you got to learn to get out of your season. And maybe you got to ask yourself, why am I attracted to these type of people? Or why am I attracting these type of people to myself? And have you ever thought about, sometimes we got to, when we're going in these seasons, I'm learning to love people who love to challenge the way I think and challenge the way I do things. So when I'm in this new season, I've been hanging with people and I've been talking to people who's going to challenge my way of thinking, challenge the way I've been doing things, asking myself, okay, well, why do you keep doing this if it hasn't worked for you before? Why are you still in it? I'm hanging around people and I'm leaning on people who are challenging my thought process. And I'm hanging around people who are, help me to see a little bit clearer, help me to see a little bit more of who I am and the patterns that I've experienced and everything. And sometimes you got to look at yourself, and you need people that's going to help you to look at yourself. And if you don't have people who are going to help you to look at yourself and look more at who you are, what's the point of having them around? I don't want to be around people, and you shouldn't want to be around people who are always going to be the yes man or the yes woman in your life that says, oh, yes, no, your stuff don't stink. No, it smells like roses. No, sometimes your stuff do stink. And you need somebody to tell you that. Because I don't know what the term is where you're in your house and, your house smells fine. And then somebody else walks in and says, yo, what's that smell? That's what I want for my life sometimes. If I don't smell myself, I need somebody else to smell something for me, to say, yo, it stinks. It's not well in here. It's rotten in here. And I'm cool with that. And, so get around people that can help you. Get around people that's, there for you, that's going to be there for you. Get around people that's going to really push you to this next phase of your life, because sometimes you can't do it alone. Yes, sometimes you need to be alone, but it doesn't mean you got to do life alone. And this last one, I want to say, just take a pause. Slow down and recognize your feelings and try to master your emotions. Recognize your feelings because you realize that feelings are temporary. Feelings are something that's very temporary. I may feel a certain way at 4:06 p.m., but at 4:07, my whole attitude may shift. And when you got to recognize, and become one who masters their emotions, is that you don't act out in your emotions. There may be times in life, I know for me personally, there's been times in my life where I've acted out of emotion, how I felt in the moment. And it wasn't a rational decision because my feelings got the best of me. So when you recognize that you're in your feelings, because yes, sometimes we do be in our feelings, you have to sometimes, okay, how do I master this emotion? How do I master these feelings that I'm having? How do I master, what I'm going through? In all honesty, and be honest, like there's times I'm like feeling very lustful some days. Then I gotta master that emotion of lust. How do I tame the beast inside of me of lust? There's times where, in this season of uncomfortability, it's like, okay, how do I master my laziness? When there's days where I don't feel like doing any work at all. But I gotta get off the couch. I gotta get out the bed. I gotta get up and go cook a meal for myself. I gotta get up and go take my hour walk every day. Or I gotta get up, and commit to the things that I said I was gonna commit to. Sometimes in this season of the life, it's gonna take you just getting up and you just moving and you mastering these emotions of what you're feeling. Oh, I feel this today. Oh, I feel that today. Yes, feel it for a moment. Master the emotion to get out of it. To say, okay, this is a temporary feeling. Okay, I got to feel this for a moment. I'm going to journal about it. I'm going to read about it. I'm going to walk it off. I'm going to pray it off, whatever it may be. I'm going to focus. Sometimes, or maybe you need to sit in that feeling for a little bit before you open your mouth. What am I feeling right now? Why am I feeling this? How am I feeling this? What has me feeling like this? Ask the who, what, where, why, and, and how questions that, we've all learned in elementary school. Towards your feelings. In this season of life, it's going to take a lot of self-reflection, a lot of looking in the mirror. And sometimes we don't want to look in the mirror in these uncomfortable seasons because we may not like the person that we see when we look up and look in the mirror. But I'm going to challenge you today to look at yourself in the mirror, dead in the face, and say, you know what, today, I, so-and-so, I challenge you to become better. I challenge you to live the life that you want to live out loud. I challenge you to live it very boldly. I challenge you to live it very authentically. I challenge you to be in this season that is very uncomfortable so that the next season of your life is very comfortable in a way that you found your flow and that you found your rhythm. Speak to yourself. Speak life into yourself. I know it's hard for us sometimes to look us ourselves dead in the face. I get it. It was a challenge for me sometimes to look at myself dead in the mirror and look at my life and say, how did I get here? But it took me wanting to hold myself accountable. And when you love to hold yourself accountable, I'm gonna tell you something. That's how you know you've grown as an individual. You've grown as a being. When I looked at my credit cards, I said, how did I get here? It's not how. I know how. I wasn't keeping track of my finances. When I look at the weight that I've picked up, thank God I've lost. I'm still down 50 pounds. But I'm looking at myself. That's you. You got to put these things on you and stop trying to find something or somebody to put it on. Until you keep holding yourself accountable, until you keep, pressing towards what is your goals and pressing towards the mark, you're never going to get right. You're never going to get it right until you just say, you know what, this was me. And you stop letting your low seasons keep you low. Because there's a season that wants to keep you high, but you're choosing to stay in this low place, or like to say this low vibrational place, because you like it there. You can't like discomfort. I don't think I know anybody who likes being in uncomfortable situations and uncomfortable places or having uncomfortable conversations. Uncomfortable conversations are good, but nobody likes having them all the time. So in your season of discomfort, I hope you take heed to these messages. I hope you take heed to some of my own life lessons that I've shared today. And I hope and I pray that this next season of your life is the best season of your life, as long as you're doing what's best for you. I love you. Let's heal together. Peace.